Diamond's sports betting podcast, Thursday afternoon or Thursday morning, depending on which side of the country you're at. Thursday, Jason here, not Greg. I am taking the reins for an afternoon with the maestro of the Diamond's content team, Dave. Welcome, Dave. Thank you for having me as the guest host tonight or today. Oh, you're on mute. Give me a sec. Let me fix you up.
Oh, there we go. Good. Yeah, all right. Thanks for jumping in. Last minute, basically. I've done a few solo attempts before, and they've gone okay a couple times. I've accidentally ended the stream or the recording and had to restart from scratch. So this should make things a little easier with you by my side.
Yeah, absolutely. We are currently live on X and YouTube. So welcome in if you are watching live. We're going to dig into the slate. It is a really big night of sport across the country. We've got a loaded slate of NHL, some NBA as well. We're going to dive into all of that. So a really big episode ahead. We'll recap some of the last night's top stories as well. And then also on top of that, MLB is about 2 weeks away? We're about 14 days away from opening night. Our futures data has dropped, so we're going to dig into all of that as well. The World Baseball Classic's been going off. I want to chat to you about that too. But let's dive straight into it. Actually, on top of that as well, this is a stacked episode. On top of that, Greg is actually going to chime in as well with College Corner for Thursday. He's not currently on the live with us, but we do have a pre-recorded cameo from Greg, so he's going to jump in as well and give us his top 3 picks from the data model for tonight. But let's jump straight into Should Have Bet That.
Should have bet that.
Should Have Bet That takes a look at the night before to see the betting angles that you may have missed and how that could help you in the future. Dave, Wednesday night's betting was headlined by a decent night for the model on NBA props and also a 2-1 night from the College Corner episode yesterday.
Yeah, some pretty good stuff from the NBA. I've found my new favorite article series to write on these smaller slates. It's kind of easier to narrow down the angles from each game. So on these smaller 5-6 game slates lately, I've written an article with one bet, prop, stat, matchup, projection, whatever to know. Last night worked out pretty well. Top overall play of the night was Banchero over 4.5 assists. That was in our props. That cashed at plus money. He was plus 108, moved to minus 130 or so on FanDuel before tip. He ended up hitting 7, called out 6+ in that article. Jokic triple-double. If you've been following the 10K challenge, it's the second time he's come through, second time this week that he was listed at plus money and projected well into a triple-double by the model. That's pretty much a must bet for me personally. If I see that, he's got 26 of them, I think, this season now. So when he's plus money, it's a pretty good spot. Both Khan and LaMelo cashed multiple threes at plus money. Kawhi hit 45, easily cashing 30+. This is a little parlay I put together featuring those angles in there. Don't ask me why I did not include Paolo Banchero's assist in this. I literally have no idea because it was the top prop of it and my favorite. But had a couple people in the Discord, I think, on some of these lines. This worked out pretty well at a 16-1 cash. And then, as you mentioned, Greg's College Corner went another 2-1. So he's picking up some nice steam as we hit into the March Madness tournament. Underdog pick of Rutgers last night also won outright. So I don't even know what he's got in his video this afternoon. So I'm looking forward to revealing that for all of us on today's show.
Chugging along nicely. Yeah, you did touch on the 10K challenge that we've been running on the Diamonds Social and in the Diamonds Pro Discord. So we do have a little snippet from what day 5 might look like as we get very close to the halfway mark of that challenge. But Diamonds Pro, this is a great chance to plug that. The model has been humming as we head into one of the busiest periods of the year with March Madness, with MLB opening night, with NHL and NBA regular season. There's so much going on. jump in on Diamonds Pro. You can get 50% off with the promo code podcast. We have also just released, as of today, an updated version of our app, which has a few more tools that you may have had knowledge of on the web version. We've added our player prop projections tools, our matchup screens, and our match listings. So more parity from the web version over to the app. There's no reason why you shouldn't be downloading the app to get on board that. So you can search Diamonds in the App Store and have a look. Let's dig into this NBA slate here. Dave, I'm not too sure if you've got the screen share up. We can do a quick little look at the night. Maybe we go to just the predictions. There we go. So we've got 9 games on the slate tonight. Anything that's taking your eye in particular in terms of marquee matchups before I dig into some of the sweet spot information?
Yeah, Sixers Pistons. Actually, I was going to dive into this one in the pre-show research and actually cut it for just time's sake. And I'm only just now noticing how big the spread is. So I guess they're probably missing Maxey, I'm going to assume, in this, which I checked. So that kind of takes this one a bit off my radar. Don't really know what you're going to get from the Pistons in such a lopsided game. Not really a ton of marquee games, I feel like, that sometimes jump out. Nuggets Spurs is obviously a good one. Wemby's questionable. Celtics Thunder is an interesting one. This is another one, and I'm a little surprised to see the probabilities so skewed. But it looks like a full squad for the Celtics, so this could be a very interesting one to watch. No particular edge or lean from the model on the spread. Really quick, just curious. Yeah, nothing for the Celtics here, so this is an interesting one. But as far as like super must-watch games, I don't feel like there's as much as appealing to me. Prop angles is really what I'm looking at tonight. If you want to take point from game lines and stuff.
Yeah, so I think from a game lines perspective, there's not a whole lot that I'm liking either. There is data on site, and this is kind of the beauty of how to use diamonds and different strategies and knowing your spots to attack. I'll get you to go over to the Best Bets channel, and it's a real precarious night. If you have a look at some of the injury reports, the funniest one at the moment is the Chicago Bulls have a tag on every single projected starter that it's either questionable or probable. So we don't know what the matchup's going to be completely, and some of the lineup information is really going to shake out closer to the to the games tipping off. So there's a lot of underdogs on the spread that the model likes tonight, and you're playing kind of Russian roulette with this. So you've got the 76ers, they're missing Maxey at plus 15.5. Do you want to take that on? I'm not too sure. The Nets plus 15.5 as well. They've got their best player out, and they've just been a complete roller coaster ride night to night. They'll sometimes be competitive and then they'll get smoked, and it's really, do you want to buy a ticket to the Brooklyn roller coaster tonight? Even though it sits in a sweet spot, which is something that I bang on a lot about through various content pieces that I put out, it's a small spot of profitability for our model this year. I'm just personally staying away from it, and this is once again talking about strategies and how to use dimers. If there's nothing that you kind of like when you see the data, you don't have to take it. There's a lot of information there, a lot of bets, but really give it a sense check to see if it's something that you want to take on. And right now the model is siding towards a lot of the underdogs on the spread tonight. And for me, it's just a night of too many of the unknowns with some of the lineups. So either wait until tip or steer clear of that, because Dave, you have well and truly lined up a smorgasbord of prop bets and angles to look at tonight.
Yeah, I got a few. Like I said, kind of going with that style of article I did the other day. 9 games is a little too much for me to pick one angle from every single game, or even find one worth betting. If I don't think there's legitimate purpose behind it, I don't want to speak to an angle. Even if the data's there, if you don't think it's a good spot, I'll pass over it for some others that look a little better. And I do think that's a good point you raised real quick about the specific sweet spot is, if you're just looking blindly, this might look like a really good bet, and it doesn't mean it's not. It has a sweet spot. It has a high edge. But when you look at the ROI and it's pretty small, 1.6%, yes, that's positive. So that's a good thing. But it means you got to be a little bit more selective. Unlike what some of the other markets we've seen, higher single digit ROI, some of them with double digit ROI. Those are ones I'd be more willing to basically just follow the model blindly.
Yeah.
With something like this, I think it's a little more sensible, like you said, to kind of just sense check things and make sure it looks okay. The Hawks aren't exactly a fantastic team either. So, the Nets could very well cover that.
Yeah.
But missing a player, small ROI, it's an easy one for me personally to pass over. So let's I'll shift to the projections and then try to not spend too much time on any of these guys because I could probably talk at length about some of them, and then just go over why I think these are particularly good spots tonight. One of these prop angles that I think is excellent is Paolo Banchero. Again, feel like I keep going back to him a little too much. Lots to love about this matchup, though. And like last night's assist prop, hopefully it's not too good to be true. That one seemed like it. Everything pointed to Banchero going over with a strong projection in the matchup and some recent trends, and he crushed it. He had, I think, 7 assists in that game. So, I don't want to go back too much, but when the data lines up, it's a pretty good spot. So he's been on a tear since the All-Star break. March alone, he's averaging over 26 points and 9.3 rebounds per game. Both of those are season highs for a sustained stretch. He won King of the Court twice recently, including in this same matchup with the Wizards just last week. Washington's under the microscope. They just allowed the BAM game. So, points are going to be a little skewed, but they've allowed the most points of any team over their last 15 games and the most rebounds in that span. They ranked 24th in assists. And you adjust that for forwards, they are pretty consistently 19th or 20th versus all 3 main categories. Don't know if he's going to go this high. Obviously, minutes and blowouts have to be, on your mind, especially late in the season. We are definitely in silly season now. But plus 2,100 for his 3rd triple-double of the year. Plus money rebounds start at 9+, and we have him at 8.5, right about where we've got projected at that line. So points and rebounds certainly in play for Banchero tonight. If you like a big long shot, that triple-double is certainly appealing. But again, this could easily get out of hand, and he could be sitting much of a game, kind of like we saw with Jokic last night. Looked like he was going to cruise to a big PRA game with basically a triple-double in the first quarter, sits the entire fourth, does not clear 40 PRA, I believe. So just something to keep in mind, especially getting down the stretch. Mm-hmm. Another one, Wemby here is, I believe he's still listed as a game time decision.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't pull the trigger on this without checking his status. But I'm kind of wondering if there's another one of these big, like 35-15 type Wemby games in line tonight. We've got him for 26.1 points and 11.5 boards. Those would rank 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for points, and I think 2nd for rebounds on the slate. So obviously very high upside. Not surprising given what we know he can do. He notably hasn't played against the Nuggets yet this season. He missed their first game back in NBA Cup play, and they have their next 3 matchups all coming up down the stretch. But he's had some pretty big games against Western Conference contenders this year, showing up in those important spots against teams he's got a good chance to face in the playoffs. 40-12 versus the Lakers, 39-9 versus the Timberwolves, 28 and 29 points in his last 2 games versus Houston, 16 boards in one of those. Mind you, Houston's allowed the fewest rebounds of any team this year. You can get him for 30+ and 12+ boards at plus 253, plus 115 or so, respectively. Not that far off our projections. Certainly not the boards. If I'm picking one play, 12+ boards for Wemby with our projection at 11.5 and plus money, that seems pretty good. Believe it or not, the Nuggets, who are, certainly a contender, still bottom 10 defense versus big men in both of those categories over their last 15 games. So possibly an exploitable spot there.
Speaking of exploitable spots, just really quickly, it's not in the rundown, but just something that kind of piqued my interest as you're going through there. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum has been ruled out against OKC. It's a marquee matchup, and Jaylen Brown maybe a little bit to prove after burning some betters in the last game being ejected. So he's projected at the moment. It looks like we've taken out Tatum out of those projections. Looks like that has updated. So 27 points projected. I'm just going to do a quick look at how he is. I think that's probably right on his line with FanDuel. He's 26.5, so it's probably on the right on the nose there.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably got a good chance to show up given no Tatum. And like you said, after the other night, I think he's like public enemy number one for the sports betting landscape right now. I saw a lot of posts on Reddit, social, and in our own Discord of people who got burned on like one singular leg with just Jaylen Brown from the other night. So yeah, certainly a spot to watch. That explains that spread also, by the way, that that Tatum's been ruled out. So yeah, as expected, they're still kind of easing him along, but yeah, Celtics as much upside as I think anybody does down the stretch.
Yeah. 3-point angles, you got those up?
Yeah. So 3-pointers, I think this is a fun one tonight. I actually squeezed out an article pretty much about all these things I'm just going to mention here right before this show. But personally, one of my preferred props to ladder in the NBA, the team weaknesses are usually very cut and dry. The 3-point shot itself is as straightforward as it gets. You either make it or you don't. Rebounds can be taken away, assigned to the team. Sometimes don't count as a rebound. Assists require the pass and the shot. Sometimes just a little more goes into hitting those ladders. Threes are nice and clean, and I think we've got some pretty good targets tonight. You sort by 3-pointers here, which is what you can see. Luka Doncic, Colin Gillespie, Isaiah Joe, Max Christie, and Jamal Murray all at the top. Tyler Hero here in a pretty good spot with the Bucks, who've allowed the most threes made over their past 15 games, but he is questionable. Don't believe he played on Tuesday, so I probably would look elsewhere other than him. But some really good matchup targets tonight. You got the Nets, Bulls, Wizards, Grizzlies, all ranked really low against 3-point percentage over their last 15 games. Pacers are down there as well in the bottom 25% or so. I think they're ranked 23rd. I've got that somewhere down here in my notes. Volume-wise, I mentioned the Bucks allow the most per game. 76ers have actually allowed a ton lately, 14.7 per game. And the Bulls rank 27th at 14.7 as well. And that is the matchup I think probably worth highlighting. First of all, is against the Bulls, which, like you mentioned, Jace, the whole team is basically listed questionable or doubtful or whatever tonight. So another one where, playing time could be something you run into here. But as far as the spot itself, they're the only team that falls into both bottom categories of 3-point percentage and 3 points made over that game's time span. Luka here is our top projected at 3.8. He's got 10 plus attempts in 5 straight games, made 4 plus in 8 of 11 since the All-Star break. 4 plus is pretty juicy. It's around minus 145 or so on FanDuel. But the model does give him more upside than anyone on the slate. I'll probably personally play 5 plus, 6 plus at 160 and 330, both plus money odds. He's just, if anybody's going to do it, it's probably him. You could also look at Austin Reeves. He's obviously further down here, 2.4 threes per projected. So Austin Reeves probably going to have more, if Luka's sitting is a thing, then Austin Reeves will probably funnel a few more shots his way. But I do like the matchup for Luka tonight. Bulls have just been such a good target for the most part all season. A couple of these other guys in really good spots. Colin Gillespie is one I really like too. He gets the Pacers. One of the more compelling targets, I think, tonight, especially with his recent form. Projected here at 3.1, second on the night. He's got 4 plus in 5 of his last 6, 5 plus in 3 of those. Luka hit 7 versus the Pacers on Friday. He's the only one projected here above Gillespie. So a lot of similarities there. Max Christie projected for 3 on the dot. That's plus money, 106, plus a 106 on FanDuel. He gets that Grizzlies matchup that was bottom 5 in the league or so. And then Nickeil Alexander-Walker here. He's 2.8, so he's the lowest out of all of these projected, but he's got 4 plus in 3 straight, 3 plus in 6 of 8 since the end of the All-Star break. He's projected just outside the top 5 here. If Tyler Hero doesn't play, he's pretty much right there on the cusp. And notably, his past 3 games where he hit 4 plus, those were all against teams who rank in the bottom in 3-point percentage or 3 points made. The Mavs, Bucks, and 76ers. So again, a lot of similarities in tonight's matchup for him, along with what he's done lately, similar to that Colin Gillespie matchup with what Luka did to the Pacers the other night. So those 4 in particular are catching my eye tonight. I haven't totally decided what I'm going to do, but I'm definitely going to play some sort of 3-point parlay with them. Maybe just 4 plus for all 4 at 4 plus and call it a day.
Luca is absolutely heaving these shots up over the last few
Yeah.
games. I think he's last 3 games, 12 attempts, 16 attempts from three, 14 attempts against the Pacers where he went 7 of 14, and then 10 against the Nuggets and Pelicans. So he's had double-digit attempts from three in each of his last 5 games. Like he is throwing them up. LeBron's been out for a little bit. I think LeBron is coming back in tonight. So whether that changes the makeup and he distributes a little more, I'm not too sure. I'm always sus on the Lakers. I know they're favored by 10 tonight against the Bulls. I'm always sus on them actually putting teams away. I think they're one of the teams that are susceptible to kind of play down to the level of their opponent more often than not.
Yeah.
So I'm not concerned too much about the minutes restriction on the minutes because of the blowout or whatever it might be.
Sure.
I think, if we're expecting double-digit attempts again, which I think makes sense, then that Luka ladder is definitely in play and worthy of a shot. I did put a bet on him last week. Oh, not last week, 2 days ago, with the ladder challenge. About 20 minutes after the bet, I saw the story come out where he hasn't seen his children in months and going through a tough divorce or whatever. I thought that might be bad for business for sports bettors, but he's still producing at a level. So luckily it's not, luckily for sports bettors, unlucky for Luca, it's not a distraction at the moment. So all the best to Luca on that side of the thing. But from a sports betting perspective, I think the Luka Doncic ladder is a decent enough play tonight. I think he's gonna stuff the stat sheet in multiple categories, which is something I'm going to speak to in just a second. But double targets, I think we've got now as well.
Yeah, so we looked at these on Friday. Just took a quick look, just kind of to see who was projected for one, who was just on the cusp. A couple interesting ones in there. We found Neemias Keita for a plus 429 double. He hit that. He was actually about 2 boards under, and he's right at one today. He's plus 278 or so, I believe, the last I checked. So he's certainly worth a look. Bit of a log jam in this Bucks Heat matchup with 3 players all projected around 10 boards. So might be one to stay away for me personally. I think it's unlikely that all 3 of them would be hitting that mark. That's a lot of boards to go around. Slightly down here outside the cusp, or outside the top projected guys. DeAndre Ayton is a curious one for me. This guy used to average a double-double in his entire career before this season with the Lakers, where he's averaging about 2 boards under his career numbers. Scoring is occasionally a bit of a concern with him too, even getting to double digits. So he's one that might be worth a look just at his rebounds. But, he's in that matchup with the Bulls, who rank bottom of the league in pretty much every category. And he is the top projected rebounder in this game, just 0.1 over Luka, but obviously he's the big man. And then if you look at guys who are close with assists here, obviously the usual characters at the top, 2 triple-double candidates with Jalen Johnson and Nikola Jokic, Kate Cunningham right at 10 assists, but I would look just past those guys at a couple right here. LeBron James piques my interest. He's bounced around a bit, plus 331 to plus 310 or so before the show. 7.5 assist projection here. So he's a good, almost what I would call the start of this next tier of guys who are at 9 or higher, and then him. But again, gets the dreadful Bulls. And if he's, maybe setting up Luka for those threes, that correlates pretty well. And then Castle here also at 7.5 is an interesting one for me. Facing the Nuggets on a back-to-back in a possible Western Conference playoff preview. He was like plus 445, and that's not that far off at all from our projections, 2.5 away. But at, plus 445, that's a substantial price. So a couple guys right there in that same range where we found Keita the other day. And then I have to just call this one out because there's also been some interesting line movement, which I think makes the case for this a little more interesting. But Trae Young here, I had him here as my favorite deep cut double-double. He was plus 1120 for a double-double on DraftKings this morning. That dropped to about plus 910. It was plus 850 on FanDuel by the time we started recording. Got him projected for 14.6 and 6.1 assists. He hit 17 points and 8 assists in just 18 minutes in his Wizards debut. He didn't play the game after that. He's active tonight. Magic are a decently tough matchup, but for some pretty solid production in just 18 minutes from him in the debut, and those odds being as long as they were, just caught my attention. And it was a big drop. I grabbed it at 9:10. I wish I had grabbed it at 11:20. But that's a big movement for me, and that kind of signals a little bit of interest as well. Just sometimes seeing how the lines move with something that already caught my eye. 4 assists off of a double-double. So,
yeah. Can you do me a favor and just do a little search there of Bam Adebayo coming off Bam 83, projected for 21, 10, and 3 assists. So minus 130 on FanDuel for a double-double for Bam tonight. Now, there was all sorts of funny business going on the FanDuel Bucks Heat page. So if you go onto the I won't make you screen share, but if you go onto that game hub on FanDuel, the featured same game parlay is Bam 30 points, Bam 12 plus rebounds, Bam 4 plus assists, and Bam 4 plus made threes at a nifty plus 31.65. So there's going to be a lot of hype from some of the bettors to go maybe on Bam Adebayo and want to try and see if he can keep up the hot hand. I did look into how did Kobe go in the game after his 81-point performance. I think it was in 2005 or 2006 in January. So he, after that Toronto game, the Lakers were at home against the Warriors. It was a 105-106 overtime win. Kobe Bryant played for 49 minutes, hit 30 points, and took 22 shots. So he didn't go crazy. I'm not sure Bam will get the same kind of production with intentional fouling late in the game to get his points up. But if you are looking to maybe bet on Bam and cash in on some of the hype or just some of the interest around how he'll back up that 83-point performance, then I think maybe the double-double might be the way to go at minus 130 with FanDuel.
I'm curious how much he's going to be bet tonight after that. Obviously he's not going to do something even remotely close to that, we were talking all-time performances here, but it is funny. He's got to draw a lot of attention. He's got to be one of the most searched for players probably since then. So surely the purely recreational bettor is throwing some money on Bam tonight. 21.3 seems a bit more reasonable than 30 plus though.
Yeah, and 4 threes. So what are we projecting?
2.3. So that'd be pretty substantial over.
Yeah, Lightning would have to strike twice for someone to hit that plus 31.65 bet on Bam that's featured on the FanDuel same game parlay page. Let's cap off just with a little thing we've been doing on the Dimers Discord and the Dimers Social, which is our 10K challenge. We're just throwing our hat in the ring. We just want to have some fun with our data and see how we can do with it. We do this kind of sporadically, but it's obviously a pretty popular thing on social media among different sports betting creators. Shout out to someone that we used to work with, Calling Our Shot, close friend of Dimers, who has been so close to cashing this out a couple of times and has fallen at the final hurdle recently, I think back in maybe during NFL season. So it's a really hard thing. We've done the due diligence in trying to figure out what's the best method for this and trying to really run the numbers and what's the best way to actually navigate a 10K challenge based upon raw data and probabilities and math. And it is, lo and behold, taking those one leg plays where you can, 1 or 2 leg plays, it kind of reduces your outcome to cashing in maybe 1 out of every 800 tries compared to 1 out of every 8,000 if you're putting 4 or 5 legs together, even if they are minus 400 to get you up to plus 100, because there's just so many variables that can go wrong the more legs you add. Even though it might seem like a lock, it is something to be wary of. So we've been trying over the last few days just to use the data to our advantage on this player projection hub primarily. And we've run this up to day 5 now. So we're up to, I think, $174. We're going to try and turn that into $350 tonight. So we've posted this on the Dimers Discord. I'll post this on the socials in a second. You might be able to bring up, Dave, the Discord post, and we can look at it that way because it's already been posted up.
Yeah. Give me 1 second here. My Zoom was slowed down.
I'll pad while you bring that up. So Tonight, what we're doing is we are going with a two-legger, just to get to a point where it's a kind of a correlation play, really. It was focusing on the Bulls and Lakers game. We are going to take the Lakers duo of Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic. This is with DraftKings at -120. We can go to -120 because we are a little bit ahead of schedule, having cashed in a couple of plus money plays over the last few nights, namely Nikola Jokic to have a triple-double last night. So we have a little bit of juice that we can drink to get us to pretty much on even par, which is the 320 mark at day 5's end. So we're taking Luka Doncic at 7+ assists and Austin Reeves 2+ 3-pointers. So this, is a correlation play. Hopefully that Luka Doncic, who is projected for 9 assists by our model, passes a few off to Austin Reeves on the perimeter. And having watched these Lakers games, like we did speak a little bit about, Luka Doncic has had like immense 3-point volume. He's been shooting them a lot. A lot of them have been under duress. So he's getting double teamed, kind of throwing them up late in the shot clock. The ones he is missing are pretty bad shots. So in most cases, having watched this pretty closely over the last few nights, because we've taken Luka a couple of times for 3+ 3s or 4+ 3s throughout the course of these 5 days, I think there's an opportunity for Austin Reeves to get open. He has been open for a lot of these Luka Doncic shots. So the correlation is Luka Doncic is projected for 9 assists and Austin Reeves projected for 2, 3. So I think they probably go hand in hand. Not to say that Luka Doncic won't get his own lick from behind the arc, but that's the theory for this one tonight. So -120 odds with DraftKings, $174, which is what we've built up over the last 4 days, trying to spin that into 319, which pretty much puts us smack bang on where we need to be after 5 days of the halfway point as we march on to 10K. So I'll post up on socials if you are following us on X, but it's already on the Discord for those users. So best of luck. I'm trying not to overthink it. I've been the one pulling these plays together, and I really have been trying not to overthink it and get in my own head about it. It's around this time that it starts to get a little bit, a little bit nervy.
There is a secondary and tertiary and so many voices popping up in your head when you're putting together the next play when you get about this far. I can attest to that. We've gotten some pretty solid runs in the Discord before. And just trust your gut, man, and the data, and do your best. That's
absolutely. It. Yep. So that rounds us off on the NBA for Thursday night slate. As we mentioned off the top of the show, Greg, while he's not with us physically right now, he is with us in spirit. He did send in his college corner for Thursday night. Okay. So let's throw it away to the master of college basketball himself, Greg Waddell, for college corner.
College Corner.
Hello, Dimers Sports Betting Podcast listeners. It's Greg. I'm on the road as you listen to this to the Big Ten tournament as conference tournament week rolls on, but I do have a college corner for you for Thursday of conference tourney week. As always, these are 3 plays that are model backed. You can find these on the best bets page of the college basketball section of dimers.com. We start with Tennessee -6.5 against Auburn. Stephen Pearl has been campaigning for his Auburn Tigers to qualify for the NCAA tournament. The problem, they don't deserve it. They have so many losses. They do not belong on the bubble. If not for a historically weak bubble, this wouldn't even be a conversation. However, if you paid attention to the other bubble teams, it hasn't exactly gone well in the conference tournaments. I think they suffer the same fate tonight against a Tennessee team that is just tougher at all 5 positions. Jacoby Gillespie is the best guard on the floor in this game, and Auburn's perimeter defense will not have the answers. 55% probability according to the Dimers model. For our next 2 plays, we go to the Big Ten for games that I will be in attendance for. We start with Wisconsin -7.5 against Washington. One of my favorite things to do in this tournament in this year is to fade the West Coast teams. I think it's a tough ask to ask some of the bottom of the standings type teams to stay halfway across the country in Chicago trying to win 6 games in 6 days. They know where this is headed. They don't want to extend this trip overly much, I don't think. And Washington does qualify for that. Meanwhile, Meanwhile, you have a Wisconsin team that I think is hungry for more. They're in the same pot of this bracket as Illinois and Michigan, two teams that they've beaten already this season. I think they believe they have a real chance to make a run. And more importantly, Nick Boyd and John Blackwell will not have much resistance against that Washington perimeter defense. Once again, a 55% probability and a 3.5% edge, according to the Dimers model. And then the third pick here from the model, Purdue minus 12 and a half against Northwestern. I got to say, I was a little bit surprised by this one because Purdue has historically not fared well in the Big Ten tournament. I believe they've covered just one of their last 16 games in this tournament under Matt Painter. However, Matt Painter has talked about approaching it a little bit differently this year. They want a long stay at this tournament. They don't just want to get to the NCAA tournament healthy. They want to go claim a championship they couldn't get in the regular season. This was the preseason #1 team. Braden Smith needs more games to set that assist record, and they want some revenge against the Northwestern team that had them on the ropes just 10 days ago in Evanston. I think it makes sense that Purdue is favored to cover this line. 54% probability according to the model, 2.5% edge. Dave, thanks for letting me do this. Thanks for holding down the show without me, and good luck to everybody this weekend.
What a guy, that Greg.
What a man. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Greg. Very succinct. He knows how to keep the time.
Sure
so
does.
thank you, Greg, for College Corner. All straight from the model. He's been on a roll with College Corner lately. Let's turn our attention to the jam-packed Thursday night NHL slate. 14 games, so pretty much almost every single team is in action tonight. It is going to be a big night on the ice. Dave, I'll get you to bring up the best bets page if you can. Spoke about before that the model for NBA tonight was a little bit scarce. I wasn't too confident in some of those traditional money line spread and totals markets that we're displaying on the NBA best bets page, but not so with the NHL slate. So the model has been humming on this particular market that Dave is hovering over at the moment, which is the puck line. So generally our model is leaning towards underdogs on the puck line, that +1.5, and it has been reaping rewards. I would dare say that this, out of among all markets that we run models for across every sport, this is the sweetest of all spots. I think right now we're displaying, what does it say? I've got my glasses on, but I can't see. About 36%.
36.3. Yeah, 36.3 over 30 bets. I believe it's up to a 3% edge because this Flames +1.5 does not have it. So that's how I would read it.
Yeah, so it's between 2% and 3% edge. And generally that's a threshold for us to kind of display a bet as a best bet where we think we're beating the market pricing by around about 2 to 3%. And that's where it's been displaying the most. I think it should actually be displaying a sweet spot on that threshold above 3% as well, because I think we've been ticking over at 31%. So let me follow up on that. But the ones I want to highlight there, Dave, I'll get you to go and filter by sweet spots specifically, because those are the games I want to focus on, which are the Capitals +1.5 and the Kraken. Is that today? Yeah. There we go.
Yeah. Just put
Capitals
hours in.
1.5. And the Kraken +1.5 as well. So those are the two that I want to have a look at as the recommended best bets of the night. Have a look at those ones. Now, we do have a slight sweet spot on moneyline bets as well. You'll see that sweet spot tag popping up for a lot of those. It is a very mild one. And I dig deeper into the resulting tool, which I have access to, which I try and give some help to you guys through the model insight reports if you are a Dimers Pro subscriber. If we dig a little bit deeper into that, we see that the profit is really coming from home teams on the money line where we've found an edge, and I don't think any of those qualify tonight. So while overall we're displaying a slight profit on that market where we've identified an edge in that edge range of around about 3 to 5%, which basically means that we think our model is beating the books in pricing by 3%. What's really holding it up is those home teams. So if you're looking to kind of really narrow down your focus and have a look at, okay, what bets do I really want to take tonight? I'd be focusing on those two puck lines up the top there, which is the Capitals +1.5, the Kraken +1.5. The Blackhawks are also on this page up until probably just before we started going live. So monitor that as the day goes on. That might appear depending on how the odds fluctuate during the day. I'm guessing that, they've the edge has gone down, so the odds have gone slightly worse throughout the course of the day. But have a look at that, circle back to it, and you might see some value there. So that's all from a sweet spot perspective. Capitals and Kraken for mine as the plays of the night based upon the data. Dave, I know you've been digging deep into some of the goal scorer props for the evening.
Yeah, so we'll look at a few. I've just pulled up here and I filtered by goal scorers. And of course, there's a good one here with Pasta, who wasn't here before. Ooh, and Draisaitl. There's a lot of good names on here tonight. Matchups are very important in hockey as well. Sometimes you want to make sure you're not going up against one of the elite goalies or a team that doesn't really allow a lot of goals. But I filtered here by goals. And just before we get into this, while I have this up on screen, I just want to highlight a couple of players who show up with an edge in both points and goals. Actually, you know what? Let me filter and I'll just see if they're still all up here. They might not be, as we know, things change here, but there are a number of guys who pop up with both of these edges. And I like looking for those because, well, we've had success targeting them lately. And, if you're up there for a point and a goal, you get a goal, you're going to get that point. So there's a little bit of correlation there. Also really good if you see them with an edge for assists, because that also qualifies for a point. Over in shots on goal, that correlates pretty well with scoring a goal. And then if they pop up in our trends page as well, that's an even bigger bonus. So just rolling through these, a few guys that I know for a fact earlier popped up with point and goal. Teuvo Teravainen is one of them. He's got 8 points in 7 games since the Olympics. 3 of those are goals. Utah is one of the tougher matchups on the slate. They allow just 2.79 goals per game this season, but their projected goalie, Karl Vizmelka, he's given up 4+ and 4 of 6 since the break, including back-to-back. So pretty good point spot for Teravainen. 51.5% probability at plus money. Always a really good sign for me personally. Evander Kane's another one of them. He's a game time decision. There's kind of an interesting thing going on with him where he's, I want to say, 9 games away from his 1,000th game played, and his coach notoriously, or like not notoriously, but vocally wants him to reach that this season, get his silver stick. So he might play, even though I believe he was scratched the other night, but he was in all 3 markets actually, point, assist, and goal. Projected goalies in this game, not very good. Both of them allow, are both bottom 5 goalies. Kane's got all 3 edges, as I said. Could be plenty of goals in this one, so why not take a chance maybe on a slightly deeper guy? Also at 51% and plus 150 for a very substantial edge here. A couple other guys I know were on here. Barbashev, he popped up. I think Aiden Hill's the better goalie to attack, taking Penguins against the Golden Knights here, but he gets the goal and a point edge. He's got 4 points, 2 goals in March, so he's got a little bit of positive form in his favor. And then Marco Kasper was one other one who popped up with all 3. Not quite the same high probability as the others. Typically like to go after the you typically don't want to go after the Lightning because their goal scoring or defensive ability is very good. However, Vasilevsky's been a little bit shaky lately, a little outside his usual tier of production, and you might be able to sneak a goal with someone like Kasper, who's got an edge in all 3. So if you want to go with just the point, you're getting your highest probability. He was like something like 450 for a goal, so you could get out there way down there, ton of NHL props. I think he might skate on the same line as Lucas Raymond here, so that kind of caught my eye earlier as well when the guy's got a point or assist edge, also skating on the same line with someone has a goal scorer edge. Again, kind of nice correlation, like the Luka Austin Reeves assists and threes type thing. So always good to look for the guys who pop up in more than one spot. Usually means the model's, particularly favoring them tonight. You check the matchup to make sure it looks good and see if you could find some favorable players there. Now I just want to highlight some goal scorers here, and I think we could go after a little bit of a round robin with some of our higher probability goal scorers with an edge here. All 5 of these guys get a Dimers model edge. I hope that they're all still up here on site. If they're not, I will just pull up the screenshot I took of them earlier and I'll just cover them here. But William Nylander jumps out for me. We have an edge on the top 3 goal scorers in Ducks versus Maple Leafs. But there's also an edge on Nylander's line mate, or was anyway, to get an assist or a point But still, Nylander stands out to me over Austin Matthews. Matthews hasn't scored since the break. Nylander's got 4. He's a little bit lower in probability here, but significantly better odds, giving you the better edge here. Also a high edge play. Lots of goals likely in this one with both teams as bottom 5 defenses. So I think there's a good spot to attack really whoever you want, but I think Nylander's the pick. Matthew to Chuck here. His probability has actually gone up. He's almost at 50% now. Odds have barely moved, maybe even in our favor, to be honest. But both of the goalies in this game have a save percentage under 885. Bobrovsky's been a little bit better for the Panthers, so I like turning to the other side of the matchup and going after the Blue Jackets. Elvis Merzlikins has given up 14 goals in 4 starts since the Olympics break. Tkachuk gets great value. Just had a hat trick the other night. He's got 5 goals since the league came back. Going down here, hopefully he's still here. He's actually not. So you know what? This is where I will pull in my compiled 5 guys with an edge. Alex DeBrincat here against the Lightning. Like I said, generally don't go after Andrei Vasilevsky, but he's been a little bit shakier lately. Despite being top 5 in the NHL in wins, save percentage, goals against average. But he's given up 4+ goals in 3 of 5 since the Olympics, 3+ in all but 1. Not very Andrei Vasilevsky-like. Alex DeBrincat's got 3 goals in 6 games since the break and a point in all but 1. So he looks like a really solid target here tonight. Next up, Morgan Geekie. Also kind of an interesting one, as we did not have an edge on Pasternak before when I was putting this together, but we do now. So if you'd rather go with, the Pasta Man, feel free to. He would probably be my first choice, although we're getting some really good value here on Geekie. But anytime you can attack the Sharks, I think you have to. He's having a bit of a quiet month so far in March, but his 34 goals, ranked 6th in the NHL. Weighted a bit more heavily towards the beginning of the season when he was on an absolute tear through the first couple months. But it's important to note, I still think that he only has one stretch longer than his current 3-game goalless streak all year. And he's got as good of a matchup as any tonight. So he very rarely finds himself, or basically never finds himself without a goal in more than 3 games in a row. Good matchup tonight and a solid Dimers model edge here at almost 40% and plus 175 odds. And then rounding it out, Brian Rust, good goalie matchup with the expected starter, Aiden Hill, 859 save percentage, 3.31 goals against average, and 3 goals or more in all but 1 game since the break. No shutouts this year either, so he's basically a lock for a goal, at least 1 to be scored. Russ has 4 goals since the league's return, 9 total points. He's been very active, having a really nice run since the Olympics break. If you're going to play these as a round robin, I would personally keep it to a ×4 and the 5 leg. The odds aren't quite as long enough, I think, where you can guarantee yourself a profit at ×3 without investing a little bit more than I personally think is worth it. Like if you're going to have to invest what you need to for the ×3 to be profitable, you should probably just play these guys as straight legs and then play the ×4, ×5. Obviously, with these edges, the Dimers model recommends them all as straights. I think they're all in good matchups tonight and good spots, so I think they're worth targeting either as straight bets or as I played in the 5-leg round robin and the ×4. The 5-leg is about 162 to 1 for a total lotto on FanDuel, and it's one I'll be on tonight.
Yeah, nice one. Yeah, it's a good way to play these, especially with a load slate. Round robins, we love doing a round robin. I'm itching about 2 weeks away from our first MLB home run round robin, which is the perfect segue into MLB Futures data has dropped on dimers.com. So our futures model for MLB is one of the sharpest that we have. We have time and time again shown some really decent value for bettors who are looking for some of the value at the start of the season on MLB Futures, whether that be to win the World Series or to win the division. So, Dave, this dropped. This is fresh. This is within the last 24 hours from our data team. Shout out to those guys for getting it up a couple of weeks before. I think there's still some uncertainties around. We're still in spring training. There's still a lot of things such as roster makeups that we still have to figure out. There'll be some guys that are fighting for roster spots, some guys that will be dropped. I love the MLB, but it is tough to keep on top of all of the off-season transactions, the comings and goings. Sometimes you'll be watching it 4 weeks into the season and say, "Oh, I had no idea that guy moved from this team to that team." It's a crazy league, especially for off-season transactions. So it is a big lift, these data simulations for MLB Futures. But Dave, you've had some time to dig into this and to find what sticks out to you the most so far. So let me know what you found here.
Yeah, so I'll just I don't want to spend too much time on this. Like, we could do an entire show on MLB Futures, and we do have some win totals and projections from the data guys as well, which we'll save for next week. So we'll probably do several more looks into this. I'll dive into these with written content, social content as well. But, just see what jumps out at us right away. Of course, the Dodgers, once again, heavy favorites, about pretty much where they opened last year. If I remember correctly, I think they were actually a little longer at like plus 280, which is just terrifying, frankly, if you're a bettor or a fan of anybody but Los Angeles. Of course, the Mets here jump right out, not only as the second most likely contender by probability, but at a really good price. They're just about 10% to win, and that would make their fair odds plus 900. And right here, you're getting plus 1,500 at Bet Rivers. I saw 1,300 and 1,200 pretty much across the board. So you're getting value at any of those numbers. They lost Pete Alonso, obviously, Edwin Diaz, a few other guys, but they added some pretty big bats: Luis Robert, Bo Bichette, Marcus Semien. They got Freddie Peralta into that rotation. Rookie Nolan McLean should be starting for a full season as long as he's not hurt or anything, after some really impressive rookie work. So, the Mets are the Mets, and you always have to deal with those midseason collapses and the woes that they often have. But, I'm actually blanking. I should know this, if they made the playoffs. I don't think they did, right? They completely collapsed and missed the playoffs, if I remember correctly. Yeah. But I should know that as someone who regularly ribs on my Mets fan friends. But certainly a good price and the highest probability we've seen on them in the Dimers model from a preseason perspective in a long time. Cubbies sitting here as the second highest NL team really jumps out to me. 5.5% plus 2,000. So you're getting a little bit of an edge there. I think that would be about plus 1,700 or so fair. I don't know about this one. I mean, they added Alex Bregman. They got right-handed pitcher Edward Cabrera to help the rotation, but they lost Kyle Tucker, and the model seems to think they've gotten better, at least relative to other teams. Wouldn't be the first time where I kind of raised my eyes at something like that with the model in MLB, and it was more than correct. Like with the Blue Jays last year, plus 1,300 to win the AL East in like the third week of the season, and that was, as we know, quite prescient. So just not a team I can just get really confident in to win the World Series, I guess, but it's an interesting team for value, and we will come back to them in a minute in a different market. AL is interesting. There's a lot of overpriced teams, I think, when you get down here. For both the AL and the NL. Phillies, Braves, Red Sox, these teams are all sitting about the same probability to win the World Series, but with odds that more closely align with the teams up here in this upper tier. So kind of signals a stay away at the early part of the season for me. It's the lowest probability for the Yankees preseason I think we've seen in my entire time working with Dimers. They're almost always a top 2 or 3 team. They've got a good roster. They'll have Garrett Cole this year after his missed last year all with the surgery. But overall, putting pretty much the same team on the field, and I think the model's taxing them a bit for that. Whereas you have other teams like the Blue Jays and Mariners who have kind of shown that they are now in that upper elite tier of teams to be trifled with in the current makeup of the league. Blue Jays, the top team from the AL, solid edge here, fair price at plus 1,200. I don't know if they're going right back to the World Series. They did try to improve their pitching staff. They added Dylan Cease, who I love in the past. He just hasn't really looked that great the past couple of years, but if you can get back to his peak play, it would be one of the better additions for a team this offseason, I think. Lost a huge asset in Bo Bichette, though, offensively. So it's just kind of a few questions there if the team is going to do what they did last year, which I think was a bit of a surprise. And despite the model finding the value on them, I think they got a little bit lucky with how the team now looks this year. Going to AL and NL here, This is where I find the Blue Jays more compelling, personally. You're still going to get an edge here. Obviously, shorter odds, but you don't need them to get or to win the World Series. They just need to win the American League. Still have my concerns about that, but it's one step lower. And obviously, you're not getting plus 1,700, but 7-1 is still really good. This would be fair around plus 525, 550 or so. So it's a pretty solid edge. Orioles, top 4 probability here, getting a little value. Same with the Astros. Both these teams almost identical probabilities, same odds. Would be plus 900 at fair. Just not really a fan of Baltimore after last year's huge letdown. Will be a fun team to bet on for home runs, though. Added Pete Alonso. So should be at least plenty of day-to-day betting fun for them. I just don't know if I can get behind them as a top AL contender. I don't know. And then the National League, Dodgers, such short favorites here, only plus 125 and 37%. Even the model says they should be closer to like 175 or so. But that opens up a lot of opportunity, obviously, because they eat up so much here. The Mets, again, as an edge in the World Series, also have an edge here. Cubs, similar. And then you dropping down to the not so fairly priced teams in this tier. Diamondbacks stand out just a little bit here. You know, they have the same odds as the Pirates, who I think we can clearly say they are a different team, but they're both at plus 3,500 and 2.2% higher, which is really substantial at this probability range. That makes a really big difference in fair pricing. They haven't been back to the postseason since their run to the series a few years ago. So a couple of concerns there, but it's a really solid offensive lineup. I mean, you got Corbin Carroll, Ketel Marte, Geraldo Perdomo was a top 20 at his position last year. They added Nolan Arenado. Pitching rotation just isn't really much to write home about, which is obviously a big concern for any team's longevity. But at what, plus 2,700, I think, for their close to fair odds with this, I think. So it's not the worst look. And I would wager that they were longer odds than that on the year they went on the run to the World Series, at least preseason.
Yeah, I think a key one of this as well, like we're looking at probabilities in the 3% range, and that might not look attractive, but think about as well, if they're not going to realistically win, but think about how the market moves as the season goes on. You could realistically, if the Diamondbacks get off to a hot start, their odds might go in from plus 3,500 to maybe plus 1,500 or whatever it might be. And then there's cash out value. So if you're playing it like, I know prediction markets all the rage right now, if you're playing it like a stock where you want to try and get some value where our model has seen an edge, albeit on a small percentage, that might be the play. They might not have a realistic chance of going and winning, 97% chance of not winning the league as opposed to 3% winning the league. But those things can shift and you can increase your profit, your profit through a cash out value later on in the season. And we have had instances in the past where we have ridden teams that were plus 8,000 to win the World Series, and then they ended up in the championship game. They get knocked out, but by then their odds are much lower, and the cash out value is immense. So think of it that way. If you're not too attracted by a 3% percentage to win the World Series or to win the league, just think of it that way as potential for an investment, so to speak.
Yeah, that's a great point. And even if you are a pretty vehement, no cash out person, it will give you an idea of what your ticket is worth. When you log in and you can see what they're offering you, it gives you a better idea of how much you would be willing to hedge or should hedge if you're willing to do so down the line. Hey, we had the Celtics, 1.8% preseason, and we find them now as a top contender in the entire league. Obviously, some specific circumstances around that with, Jason Tatum's potential return and all that. Every team is different, but, long shots are long shots for a reason, but it doesn't mean you should shy away for a small investment, whatever is small to you. Yeah,
we've got such a track record with this as well. You spoke about the Blue Jays last year. We talked about WNBA. We had the Aces at plus 2,000 mid-year. Like, things swing and teams go on runs, and in the Aces case, it came through. In the Blue Jays, it came through. But as you said, there's opportunities later if a team goes on a hot run, which the model is expecting or sees value in that happening for a hedge or a cash out. So yeah, there's definitely more ways to play it than just I'm betting on this team to win and I'm going to ride the ticket all the way. And if it loses, it's a bad bet. Not the case at all.
Yep. Yeah, very well said. One last look here. Let's just breeze through the divisions real quick. And I think down the line, we'll probably put together some fun little futures season-long ticket to ride out, maybe even on next week's show. But in the AL Central, you got the Tigers as the favorite, basically 50% at plus 110. You'll find yourself a slim little edge there. Royals look to be under or overpriced here. Twins get an edge, 13% plus 1100. Not going to find me getting invested in the Twins, I think. The model says this is a good price. As we mentioned, it wouldn't be the first time the model sniped one of these long shots well in advance. However, I'm just not a personal believer. Wide open AL East here. I think you could legitimately say these four teams can all win this division. Might be more beating up on one another than we see in most years, even this season. So I don't know. I'd say take your pick. The model says the Orioles are the best value, but the Blue Jays also get an edge as well. But, you know, Yankees are the Yankees, and the Red Sox have done quite a bit to improve over the last few seasons. A lot of young players with upside there. AL West, model says it's the Astros here for the value. Not uncommon. The model kind of loves the Astros, even when the world of baseball was kind of looking at them as possibly being behind the dynasty. The model still found favor in them, and they've continued to show that they are still a contender. The Athletics, it's a big value here. They shocked us a little bit beginning of last season. They're certainly going to field the best roster they have in quite some time. But, I mean, they still completely came apart and finished with an Athletics-esque end of the season. That's really all I can say about the A's. But
yeah, they'll be excited.
Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if they're at least a little bit better. Win the division better? I don't know. But, maybe they win 50 to 60 games. Here in the NL Central, this is why I wanted to come back to the Cubs. This is where you're getting I don't know if I'd say the best value given the discrepancy in the odds from World Series and NL. But I mean, look at this probability difference here. 37% greater than the Brewers to win the division, almost 58% plus 110. That's just huge, a huge edge for a very solid, 1 unit straight bet on the Cubs to win the NL Central. No value amongst anybody else here, except for the Cardinals. But I would not pay much attention to the Cardinals. Especially after losing their best player. And then the Mets, again, with value in the other markets, unsurprisingly have value here in the NL East. Way better than the Braves and Phillies. Not almost the same odds, but fairly close. And, more than double the probability to win. You can write off the Marlins and Nationals, I think, safely here. And then in the NL West, I wouldn't touch this with a foul pole. If the Dodgers don't win this, it will be by some freak miracle, basically. The entire roster is injured. Shohei Ohtani is banned for gambling or something. But I would say good luck picking, between the Diamondbacks, Padres, and Giants at this particular juncture, who's going to take that spot. And even still, it's very possible all these teams just aren't good enough, even if the Dodgers are a 90-win team. So staying away from that one for me. And, I don't know. Let's watch the Rockies, see if they can be even worse this year.
Another tough year for the Rockies.
Yeah, unfortunately. Assuredly so.
Yeah. Okay, so that covers a deep dive into the first drop of the MLB Futures for the year. You can have a look at that all on diamonds.com. Unlimited access if you're a Diamonds Pro subscriber. Jump into there and we'll be chatting all about that on the Diamonds Pro Discord as well. Speaking of the Diamonds Pro Discord and our community, let's dive into the Diamonds Pro Champ of the Week.
The Pro Champ of the Week.
This week's Pro Champ of the Week is a former intern of Diamonds, a summer intern. He came to us working with us during the summer, but has stayed for the long haul on the Diamonds Discord. I speak, of course, of Tony Parlay from Las Vegas. This man is on a tear usually in the Diamonds Pro Discord, but hit a nice one this week on the Diamonds. I think hopefully the first basket model, but if not, he did post this in the Discord for everyone.
They were all in the top overall list. I could not find the correlation that he perhaps used to pick them, but they were all in the list that drops daily on the Discord. Anthony Edwards, by the way, is like not a money printer at this, but my God, he's I think cashed in 15 or 16 first baskets this season, usually between plus 400 and plus 600. We found him with an edge a bunch of times as well. So I mean, if there's a single player you're just betting nightly, Anthony Edwards is continuously cashed in. It's pretty nuts. But yeah, Tony, super active in the Discord. It's really nice. He's stuck around. You'd think he's still one of our interns with how active he is in there.
Yeah, absolutely. So well done to Tony. You'll see that that is a post from the Diamonds Pro Discord. When you hit a monster like that, you get inducted to the Diamonds Pro Hall of Fame, and you get a nice little colored username and a little badge next to your username, just to flex on the other users to know to let them know that you know ball. So well done to Tony Parlay. And if you aren't already in the Discord, jump in there. It's included with the Diamonds Pro subscription. So yeah, jump in there and chat all things sports and sports betting with other like-minded individuals. Okay, we're almost on the home stretch now, Dave. Let's look at what's on Diamonds for the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, so we'll just jump right into this and close out. We got Indian Wells for tennis winding down. Quarterfinals are on today, so we got only a couple rounds left of that. PGA predictions will update after every round if we can avoid major delays. Got to say, though, in Florida with the rain, there's a strong chance at least one round sees a suspension. It's possible there is one right now. I turned off the golf because last time I had the golf streaming in the background, I could not get my screen share to load on the podcast. So I am in the dark for what's happened over the past hour of the Players' Championship. But keep an eye out for the updated predictions. It's how we found Akshay Bhatia at 12-1 with an edge. He was 5 back still at that point. So really good value. And it's not like we were just picking the top or the model was just going with the top guy on the board. Although, you know, after 2 or 3 rounds, if the top guy on the board has an edge, it's probably a good place to be. And then, of course, college hoops conference tournament games are winding down really over the next few days. A couple tournaments just started yesterday, but they go quickly. And we got Selection Sunday this weekend. Pretty good chance Greg and I will be doing a special Monday show with some initial bracket reactions, Selection Sunday chat, and whatnot. Look at odds, updated futures, post bracket reveal, and all that. So stay tuned for that. We'll be in touch, update you guys with the status of that. But it's a good chance we'll just stream that bad boy live on Monday, and if not, you'll find it on all of our usual channels. Beautiful.
Big weekend ahead as we continue the march onto March Madness. Dave, thank you for taking the time. Everyone, jump onto diamonds.com, download the Diamonds app. I know we have a little podcast promo code there, but a little birdie has told me that if you download the app, you might be able to get a 3-day free trial and just try out the tools for yourself. So download that app on the App Store and the Google Play Store. Dave, we've dropped a lot of knowledge and a lot of data, a lot of bets today, but I'm going to put you on the spot here. Choose one that your best recommendation of everything we've spoken about today. If just someone is watching the episode at the very end, tail end, just want just a surefire, I'm not going to say lock, but just a nice confidence rating for you.
Yeah, that's good. It's actually has evolved, I think, from what it would have been pre-show until now. Give me the Matthew Tkachuk goal. He's gone up about 4.5% since I was doing my pre-show research. He's our top probability on the board with an edge. Really good matchup tonight against the Ducks. So I think that's the Maple Leafs against the Ducks. I'm blanking on who they're playing right now off the top of my head. Blue Jackets. The Blue Jackets. Very good matchup. Give me Tkachuk. Had the hat trick the other night. I like him tonight. Maybe I'll even sprinkle him for 2+.
Beautiful. I agree. I'm going to go with the crack in the NHL, the sweet spot, +1.5 on the puck line. Can't go wrong with the puck lines. It's tail blindly. That's what I've been doing, and I've been reaping the rewards.
Market.
And of course, that 10K challenge bet. Fingers crossed for that. Thank you very much, Dave. Thank you to everyone that has stayed on and watched us live. Please subscribe to us on YouTube. Dimers And also follow us if you are watching us on Twitter, or X as they call it now, as the kids say. Follow us on there as well. Thanks everyone for watching. Peace out, and we'll see you next week.